Fear and greed run through the wire. Candles climb and then expire. Our edges cut from deep profile, sharp and clean by every buyer. Conquers the markets, he turns water into wine. His timing flows where chaos turns divine. Cut sharp enough to time the sign. Yeah, this man's no common trader. He commands the market's numbers. We call him Chef Bailey. The market bends beneath his flame. Fear and greed run through the wire. Candles climb and then expire. Our edges cut from deep profile, sharp and clean by every buyer. Markets move, they twist and swing. Every tick can burn or bring. Ryan keeps calm and trusts his thing. The charts tell him everything.
Most traders drown in charts and still miss the real levels. Get clear daily roadmaps for the S&P 500 futures. Levels, setups, and strategies that matter. Delivered straight to your inbox pre-market every morning. Subscribe now on Substack. Conquer the markets.
Okay, I'm here. You caught me on camera singing my own song. Now I'm a little embarrassed. What can I say? Well, you guys, as you can see, it's been one of those days. Look how big this cup of coffee is. This thing's the side of my head. Freaking unbelievable. Z, what's up? Shane, pleasure to see you guys. We finally got that rotation, y'all. We finally got that rotation. I was actually short from the giddy up this morning, and we're going to talk about all that good stuff here. First and foremost, and Z, I sent you a message, actually. Guys, we have a lot of my emails are going into people's spam boxes. Okay, please check your spam boxes for either R. Bailey at Vici Trading Solutions or info at Vici Trading Solutions. A lot of people signed up for the SPX brief. That's where I actually got some of the levels that we're going to talk about today. A lot of people are not even realizing they're getting them. They're going straight to the spam box. Make sure that you check that. The XPX brief is coming in under info at our Vici Trading Solutions at Gmail. And it's ended up, a lot of people aren't opening it. We've got 250 subscribers and only about 10% of the people are opening them. I'm not even sure people know that they're actually showing up in their mailbox. So let's try to get that fixed for everybody, which is one of the reasons why I want to make this little announcement. So so let's go ahead and get into it. We finally got a little movement today, got some trades off, exciting stuff, and we're still not at a great spot, in my opinion. You know, we had this massive rally. And we've talked about a few things before, how, you know, we basically move up, we go sideways, we move up. And every time we move sideways, you know, to essentially accept value, of course, you know, sideways means back and forth, right? Rotation. So as we've continued to move basically up for 2 or 3 days, now we're going to, you know, go into our sideways acceptance of value type situation here, which is essentially what we're seeing today. We finally got our first little pullback. And so let's go ahead and get right into it. Actually, I can sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face. Let's show some charts. We're also going to talk about what could potentially happen tomorrow. As you guys know, everything we talked about yesterday, it pretty much came to fruition. So if you're watching these post-market breakdowns, you're getting a big leg up outside the trade plan, because I can only put so much information in the trade plan. You know, this is a great place for you to kind of get an idea of how I'm thinking and what I'm thinking. Obviously, the Discord room is another great opportunity. You know, Shane and Z are in the group right now, and you know, they see what's up. You know, you guys kind of get a feel of what I'm looking at. It's like, hey, this level, woo woo. And I want to talk to you about some of the levels that we're playing here, the levels that have come up. And, you know, for so many of you guys, you were in the How to Trade a Trade Plan webinar. We talked about the levels that I specifically focus on. And there's a reason behind all that. And some of that came to play today. And so I want to get into all that so that you can really understand the concepts and the mechanics and really what high probability truly means and the importance of being patient. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into all that. As usual, guys, please follow me across all the socials, you know, X, YouTube, Substack. and of course, TradingView. We've got some cool indicators on here. Rob is actually making some other ones right now as we speak that we're going to end up getting on here. So make sure you follow me across all these socials. And I really appreciate it. That's what's up. So, spread the word, let it be known, all that good stuff. And thank you, Z. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been tough, Z. This isn't easy trading. All-time high trading isn't easy. And the biggest part about the hardest part about it is when we get up here, support gets super frothy. Right. So let's go ahead and talk about that right now, actually. One more thing, guys, I put it in the link in the post here. If you didn't sign up for the last one, how to trade the trade plan webinar, make sure you sign up for this one. This is going to be a good one. Even if you did sign up, maybe you want to come again and ask more questions. If you're not in the Discord room, or even if you are, I'm actually going to be giving away two prop firm evaluations. I actually reached out to the gentleman who won last time on email and text 2 times. He never claimed it. So I'm going to give it to somebody else. Why not? Somebody else can reap his rewards. So I think that works. What's up, PJ? Good to see you. Pleasure as always. So, guys, I went ahead and put the link in for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and just throw the link in for the other thing before we move on, because why not, right? That is the SPX brief. I don't know if we talked about that roughly this morning. We're going to get more into this. This is the XPX brief, guys. This comes out every morning at 5:30 in the morning. I guarantee it's going to your spam box. So please look and tell Google it's not spam. Oh, Michael's your homie? Oh, that's what's up, PJ. Okay, Michael's in the Discord room. He's doing his thing. We're working with Mike. Okay, look at Kay. Kay's trying to get that prop firm. Kay, you've been such a pleasure to deal with. I'll give you one anyway. You just hit me up on the side. I got you, homie. Don't you worry about it. All right. So, but I'd love to have you there either way, because you ask great questions and I think it helps for everybody. So that's what's up, PJ. Come on through. So, guys, this is the SPX brief. I went ahead and I'm going to go ahead and throw the link for this in here. You guys should sign up for this. This is absolutely free. There's no strings attached to this. This comes out every single morning. What's up, Zug? Zug in the house. Pleasure to see you. This comes out every single morning. It gives you, all the important levels that you need to know from a value perspective. It gives you all the news, the top 5 headlines in the morning. It also gives you some pattern intelligence, which is a bunch of indicators that I have AI go through and say, okay, over 30 years of data, what's important, what's happened in the past. And so it kind of spits that out for you. I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. So this is the profile levels, right? Value area highs and lows for the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. I'm actually going to make a video for people on this, maybe a 2 or 3 minute video I'll put on the landing page. This kind of shows you exactly the pictures that are coming off of this. Here is, pattern intelligence. When SPX is overbought, it's up 1%, and this and that and the other. What are the chances of this happening? Sometimes it spits out some really good stuff. Sometimes it doesn't, right? So this time the win rates were really low. You just ignore it and move on, right? And so here's the really nice part. This is what I like. I sit around with my coffee in the morning, and, I flip through the first 5 news things here and just kind of get an idea of what's cooking. I actually make sure that we pull the news within 8 hours of 4 a.m. So that way we're always getting the most fresh news in the morning. Certainly something that I enjoy reading. I hope that you guys do too. And that's essentially kind of how that whole thing works. So make sure you sign up for that. It's super cool. I've only got 250 slots left. I know that sounds like a lot, but, free stuff goes fast. People love free. So let's just make sure that you guys are using it and actually opening the emails. Otherwise, it doesn't serve any of us any good here. And Z, get it out of your spam box. I know it's in there. All right. So, guys, let's get into this. So this was yesterday, right? We talked about this yesterday. I mean, this thing was on a fucking mission, right? Fucking, right? Sounded like Conor McGregor. This thing was just absolutely going so high that it looked like it was going to bend backwards. And it actually went way higher than this, guys, but all the way up basically to where I started bending this over about looks like about 415, 414, something like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of naked eye in the chart. 410. That was the overnight all-time high way up here. Crazy talk. And so we started out the trade plan by basically saying that we had, I think it was 17 green 4-hour candles. I mean, that is unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable. I was talking about yesterday how ridiculous it was. And again, by all accounts, by all time frames, we're still pointing to the upside. So it's hard for me to, get super bearish with you guys and say, hey, we're going to rotate here. There you go, Z. All right, that's what's up. So it's hard for me to get hey, we're going to come down. Shit, I don't know. They can continue to push this. The market can stay irrational longer than we can stay solve it. So, that's something to keep in mind. But one of the big things I pointed out yesterday, guys, and this is all coming into play. So this is all going to come together. I promise you. One of the big reasons that I'm talking about this is because this kind of is how everything's going to fold together. This was our daily chart looking at the VWAPs yesterday, and this was our second standard deviation. If you guys know anything about profiles or value, you've got your mean, 1 standard, 2 standard, anything outside the 2 standard is absolutely cooked, right? And so we are just cruising outside the 2 standard. Believe it or not, we actually still closed outside the 2 standard today. I was taking a look, and this was one of the big signs for me yesterday that, we might get a pullback. When we get really outside of this, this level here, and the same works for the bottom side. Look at this. When we pulled way outside the bottom side, guess what? They come back in to value. And that's exactly what this is how we understand value and how we gauge value. So what happened today? Well, I think we finally see what happened today. This is the 4-hour chart. Look at all those ridiculous green candles. We finally broke, some people would say they broke the trend line, whatever you want to call it. But either way, it broke, right? So with that being said, maybe we can get a little rotation. Now, how far down is it going to come? That there is no way to know. I know where our support is sitting, and we're going to talk about that here shortly when we get into the trade plan. Let me see if my pen works. Of course it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't. Let me restart this. But the first thing that I talked about earlier, when we first came into this, and I think I've talked about it pretty much the whole week, whenever we get into these massive upside moves, and you guys who are, familiar with me are probably tired of hearing it. Signal, not theater. Pleasure to see you. I saw you in here yesterday too. Nice to have you. One of the things that I really want you guys to understand is how all-time high surfing works, okay? And I showed you on the bigger chart yesterday, but basically what we do is we move up, right? And then they'll basically base sideways, okay, before the next move up. But what does basing sideways mean, right? That doesn't mean you go up and you just go sideways, right? That basically means that you accept the value up here. So how do we accept value, guys? Well, if you look at a market profile chart, and let me just, I'm just going to scroll over here. Look how every single one of these is in a bell curve fashion. Okay, see that? That is how the market works. This is called market dynamics, right? The market works by accepting value. That is the whole point of a point of control. It shows you where the value is at that current time. You have your value area highs and value area lows, and price basically, goes back and forth while it determines the value. Okay, that is essentially how it works. So the same thing applies here. Now, let me show you. This is what an up move looks like, and I'm going to show you my thoughts on this candlestick pattern here shortly. Okay, so let me just go over here. So check this out. So this is our huge up move from that massive rally. Whoop, and then we base sideways, but it just wasn't sideways, right? We went up, we went down, we went up, and then we come into this week, and then we went up and down, right? And then we basically here, and then we came over here, and then we go like this, right? As we continue to sit and die until we push up here, right? So what is this? This is up, over, up, over, up. But the whole time they're doing this, they're going back and forth as they accept value. Push over, more up, right? Push over, more up, right? That's how an uptrend works, okay? So, this is, when we say it goes up and moves sideways, it's not a perfect sideways fashion. So please don't get it twisted, right? So here we are, we move up. Now we're going to pull back a little bit. Maybe we'll do some of this, right? And if we're going to actually continue this rally, which I have no way to know, but as of right now, we have to assume that we're going to continue to move up, because why would we not assume that, right? This is what this market does. We move sideways, we move up, and then we do it again, and then we move up, okay? And that is exactly what we've been seeing this whole time on the 4-hour chart. If I go ahead and close this out, this would kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about right here. We showed it a little bit yesterday, right? We move up, we go sideways in here, right? Like this. We move up, we pull back, we move up, we're going to go sideways a little bit. Do we pull up again? More than likely, right? So that's the concept of how this works, right? So when I say, oh, we're going to accept value and move sideways, I hope that you don't take that actually literal. This is the fashion of how price basically accepts value. They digest the area. And so that is, what we're talking about here. So let's go ahead and get into the trade plan. and then we'll go ahead and talk about, what I'm thinking about for tomorrow and the areas that, we've talked about these areas quite a few times, but, why not? I actually have an area of resistance that I'm really eyeing, which was a very similar spot that we got short at this morning, which I'll soon talk about. And again, guys, I made it very clear yesterday that I thought this market was a little cooked. When I came up this morning, and we talk about it in the trade plan here, we had a very small overnight range, okay? When we have a small overnight range, that generally leads to a large or outsized intraday move, okay? The same thing, and I know this goes out of context, but the same thing applies when you have a very small initial balance. The first hour of trading, if it's very small, you're usually going to get an outsized move after the first hour. If you have a very large IB, you'll get a very small move outside the initial balance. So something to keep in mind for you guys there. It's the same concept. I figured I'd just throw it out there. So this is, we had a very small overnight move. So here we go. The 17 green candles, the 4-hour candles, and this 73.59 last 1 hour buy. Okay. So I even told everybody in the last, that the expected range is 71 points. This is something that we went over in the how to trade the trade plan. I think it's very important stuff that everybody should monitor. And this is exactly why. And I'm going to show you why. Okay. We had expected range of 71 points, total range of 33 points in the overnight session, leaving us 38 points left in the tank. We can expect to break out above or below the overnight high today. This is usually fitting after a small, tight overnight session. Well, this is the RTH range. I didn't copy over the ETH range. It's the same thing. It made it work. But as you can see, we expected 62 points in the cash session today, and we moved 64, right? Spot on. So again, if you were looking for like a 100-point move, you got to look at the average and say, that's probably not going to happen. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but it probably isn't going to happen because, our numbers tell us that that's not going to happen, right? So, or it's the probabilities are low. We moved 104%. We went 2 points over the expected range today. Bang, 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 bang. Shooter McGavin, let's get it. What's up, Dom? Dom's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to see you. All right, so let's go down in the market context here. 17 candle squeeze and the need for a lower time frame support. And this is kind of important. This is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. If you were in the How to Trade a Trade Plan webinar, we'll go over it again. But as you guys know, my primary levels are daily and 4-hour levels. That is what I really like because I can lean on them. I can count on them. They are high probability. They are very solid leg ends. I am not a fan of playing 1-hour levels for reversals. Or when we get in all-time highs, a lot of times support gets very thin. You guys might hear me say all the time, oh, we've been pushing up higher. We don't really have any high time frame support to play. It's a little frothy up here. Well, that basically means that there's really no major supports to lean on. 1-hour levels are weak, okay? They do play when we're in continuation, but they, in my opinion, they are weak levels, okay? So with the 17 positive green 4-hour candles, leading us in a row, we are all in all-time high discovery mode, right? That's because we don't know where we're going to stop. We just use options, levels, etc., right? And so, when we do this, we essentially have to lean on the smaller time frame. Yesterday, we closed well above the value area high, which I showed you in the screenshot there when we were talking about the second deviation, and almost at the high of the day, giving us an extremely bullish stance, okay? Because we've had 2 massive gaps up since Monday. Our support is actually limited to 1-hour time frame levels, right? 4-hour and daily levels have not had the opportunity to form. With this being said, we must focus on 1-hour levels for support and trust the fact that we need to look for liquidity sweeps and reclaims to act as important triggers for long side continuation, okay? Now, here's the big part, guys. Don't get this twisted. We are extremely elevated. I do think we can rotate slightly, but that doesn't mean this market is a short. Now, we came down most of the day. We had moves back and forth today. And I will repeat again, I don't care that we came down, 50 points today, whatever. This market's still long, okay? Because you guys have to remember, I do my analysis based on high time frame. I use the weekly, the daily, and the 4-hour time frame. Yes, we rotated down today. Okay, big deal. We are still very much trending hardcore to the upside. After this insane push up, we need a little pullback so we can buy it again, right? So I'll say the same thing again tomorrow. I still think this market is a buy. That doesn't mean we're not going to come down a little bit more tomorrow. But from a high time frame perspective, that's what we're looking at. So you guys understand, and we're going to talk about after this is over, we're going to get into the levels that I actually really want to buy, and they are much lower because on this push up, we haven't had an opportunity to make 4-hour or daily support. We really are leaning on the smaller time frame, which is unfortunate for us because, for me, I like to play bigger time frame stuff. And we actually had a 1-hour trade today that was in the trade plan title that played for 14 points. And you guys know I'm looking for 15 to 50. So I was a little disappointed, but it's to be expected because, we know the time frame we're playing. So we have to understand the expectation, what the level can provide. Okay. So that is it for that part there. Let's go ahead and get to the next slide. So we talked about SPX this morning, guys. We closed well above yesterday's value area high, almost at the highs of the day. SPX needs to stay above and push higher than the 73.57 value area high. This is going to be the major spot for continuation above or below 73.57. Now, guys, where did I get that information? Does anybody know? Whoop, guess what? It comes to your email every single morning right here, 73.57. I literally mark these levels manually myself every single morning. Yesterday's value area high, point of control, value area low. Could I have TradingView do it? Yes, probably so. But I believe that this is more accurate than TradingView because I actually programmed this myself. It breaks it down to the 1 minute time frame, and I know this is right. And so this is what I use. Okay. So just to give you an idea. So I drew this level, 73.57. We need to stay above this if we're going to push higher. This is going to be the major spot for continuation. If SPX pulls back into yesterday's value area high at 73.57, this could rotate down into our 1-hour support at 33 right here, located very close to yesterday's point of control at 39. And we want to see 33 play, reclaim 37, and ultimately 39. So check this out. If you guys can see this, of course, my pen fucking doesn't work again. This yellow level was 33. You can see they played it right here almost perfectly, right? Popped up, played for 14 points, and then ultimately pulled back. But where did they touch? Not once, twice, 3 or 4 times. 73.24. Boy, where do we get that level, right? If price pushes below this, we could rotate into yesterday's value area low at 73.24. This is our last level of support. Nothing structural, but a value level to monitor. If 73.24 plays, look for a reclaim of 73.30, right, which is basically right here, and 33 for the push higher. Well, they continued to kind of flirt with it. It doesn't matter. What was more important was this was a fantastic support structure level that played 4 freaking times in a row. And I just wanted to show you guys how important this is. I mean, this is a free resource that I'm giving to everybody. It's something that I find extremely valuable. And I use this all the time in terms of giving you guys information on how the trade plan works when I talk about SPX. So again, please, even if you're trading ES, this is what do they say? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth or whatever. Like this is valuable information. And whether you realize it or not, the data for this and VIX is only $4 on TradingView. So it's too cheap to pass up. And especially if you are doing this for a living like me. And even if you're not, if you're just doing it for extra money, what's $4, right? I spend more than that on coffee. Cheers, by the way. Cheers. All right, so let's talk about this. So our first spot here, and again, I came up in the morning. I'm looking at the all-time high right here. I see what's going on. We had the 74.02 1-hour hurdle. This is our first major hurdle, guys, as you can see right here. This is our major hurdle to get above this morning. If we push above this, we can get continuation extension to the all-time highs. It's actually funny. That is funny, and I'm going to tell you why, but we'll get into that in the next slide. So as you can see, I was short here. Obviously told the team this morning I'm short. I go over the trade plan with everybody in the Discord room 5 minutes before the bell rings, telling everybody, hey, this is what we're looking for. And obviously at this point, I'm looking for some rotation, right? We haven't lost any time frame, but good Lord, we cooked, right? And we're holding this call wall up here. And it just had a lot of reasons to believe that we could rotate a little bit, right? Just come down to support. Just give us something to buy, right? And so this was what we were after. I got the first target. And needless to say, I was after this yesterday's point of control way lower. Unfortunately, on this particular trade, I didn't get it. But we got the first one, and I stopped out break even, and that's that. So I just wanted to show you that this level was actually the very first one in the trade plan. This was our hurdle. I took the trade because of obvious reasons. Just, more, you can call it gut feeling, but not really. The level played. And actually there was a few guys in the room that got short with me based on the same thing. And this is, it might take a little bit more comfort with this type of thing before you take these type of trades. But listen, after 3 days of gapping up, we were due for a little pullback, right? So especially with that small range. Now, here's the next one. Interesting. So we actually, as you can see right here, this was the short, took it all the way down to yesterday's value area high. Yesterday's value area high acted as support and pushed us back up. Well, me and Tuberville in the room, I don't know who else was long, but we were long and took this all the way up, assuming that this was going to get an extension to the all-time high. Because now, we came all the way down, we came all the way up. So I buy above 74.02 on the first go. We take it all the way up. I take profits at the call wall, and then I'm looking for one tick before the all-time highs. The funny part about it is they actually did get that it didn't make the all-time high and then shit on everybody. As you can see right here, this is the next trade I called out in the room. 72.04, I said, hey, this could play. We could actually hold the IB high. Well, I was long here on the retest. This is my second stab at it. I never got either of these targets. I was super small, as you can see, 4 contracts, just because, when I don't have a daily or a 4-hour level to lean on, if it's this type of stuff, I'm always trading really small, 2 to 4 contracts, very, so my risk is in check. I mean, if I'm on a daily or 4-hour level and I like it, I'll have 15 or 20 contracts on. So, this is how this is how you know how I feel about it based on the size, right? So this kind of gives you a good idea. Anyways, this was a loss for me or whatever, but I wanted to show you this was the touch of the all-time high. It didn't quite get there, but it actually did get continuation when it came back above 02, which was kind of funny. So, 1-1, 1-2, lost 1. Okay, what a day. All right. So here's the other level. This was right in the trade plan. If you guys remember this was pretty interesting. This was the 73.59 last stand 1 hour that we talked about. So this actually did play. But again, it didn't quite get the mojo I thought it was going to get. It was unfortunate because why? Because it's a damn 1 hour level. But the level played for 14 points. It was yesterday's point of control at 65. We had the 1 hour leg up at 59. Yesterday's VWAP. It was directly near the IB high from yesterday, and we had a big put wall at 57. Okay. This actually, when this started to play, we were getting a little love. We were up like 13, 14 points. And of course, got some Iran news, and they just flushed on our ass, which doesn't surprise me, right? This is such a crazy, volatile news, risk on headline, action type market. So this was basically our true level of support. This is the 1 hour level at 59. It took us all the way up to the highs. It gives us a reason for confluence. Okay, cool. It played. I mean, as you can see, it played perfectly to the tick here, right? So we wanted to get back above 59 and then back above 62. That was the trigger to initiate our long. And then we want to see us get back above the point of control, and the first targets are the overnight low. So check it out. I'll show you. So look, I get long 59, right? Well, actually, the trigger was 62.75. So that's basically 63, right? So look where I'm long from. I got 7 cars on 63.64, right? Just exactly like the trade plan says. I was 1 point late. Big deal. I had to make sure it was going to go. Actually, I added in above yesterday's point of control once you started to get a little mojo. And as you can see, this was the overnight low targets. I actually only got 1 fill on the news flash, and then they came down and stopped me out break even. So unfortunately, that didn't go either, but the level paid 14 points, guys. People kill to make 14 points a day. People they would die to make 10 points a day, and we are just handing them out like Pez dispensers around here. So if you're trading the trade plans and you're following the actionable setups, you are going to make money. Yes, this didn't hit all my targets. Okay, boo-hoo me. Was I disappointed? Yes. But at the end of the day, 14 points is great money, right? Great money. We're talking about like $700 here, okay? Like not chump change, okay? So some people work all week for that shit, and we make it in 5 minutes. So because that's how we do it. We follow the plan. We wait. We're patient. And sometimes you got to wait a couple days. I know, it's crazy. Sometimes you got to wait a couple days. But that's just how it is. So with the next one, let's go ahead and just talk about the next one, and then we are out of here. Actually, that's it. That's it. I'm actually out of slides, believe it or not. So that was all the trades for the day. I basically left after that. It's like, okay, this ain't going to work. This is, we're going to continue to come down a little bit farther. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we should be looking at for tomorrow, shall we? Now, I just want to remind you guys just real quick before we look at this, I haven't looked at this at all. After all this happened, I went and took a nap on the couch because I made my money and I went and took a nap. So, so we're going to look at this together for the first time right now. Okay. So let's just go with this walk from this top down. This will be interesting, and you guys can kind of get an idea of, how I approach the markets here. Okay. So first off, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So right now we have a daily level that was created at the highs, which is 73.99. I told you guys I was looking at this resistance here at 73.99. Actually, I have another 4-hour level at 95 that I actually like fairly well. Okay, I feel like this area right here is massive resistance. The only bad part about this, guys, and again, I don't know if this is actually going to play. I hope it does. But the only part is this is not a high conviction setup. And the reason for is because we are still up on all those time frames, right? We haven't lost support on the 4-hour or the daily. So that makes these levels basically not super high probability. That doesn't mean they can't get a reaction. And that doesn't mean they can't send it all the way down. But, from a process perspective, when we play longs like the daily and the 4 hours because we have gained on those time frames. So we're playing those knowing that we gained, and so those should act as support and go up. Right now, as resistance, we have the opposite issue, right? We're starting to make resistance areas, but we haven't truly lost support on those time frames, so that they become a little iffy in a sense, and to the point where I think that they're okay, it could play, but you kind of need to let it show you first before you just stand in front of it. I hope that makes sense. So with that being said, I have this area down here at 64, which is still another 100 points lower, 90 points. That is my real spot that I love, okay? And that, to me, this is the high probability trade, okay, 64, right? Because underneath that, everything kind of goes to shit, all right, just to, keep it real with you. But as you can see, what I was saying, when we have these massive pushes up, we have really limited high time frame support. Because right now I only have one daily level at 64 and some resistance at 99. And these things are like 130 points apart. So you can understand when we start surfing all-time highs, things get a little frothy from a high time frame perspective, and it makes things a little bit more difficult. Now, let's look at the 4-hour time frame. The same thing applies here on the 4-hour. I'm going to go ahead and hide this so you see just the 4-hour levels, and of course the options levels, which, by the way, 74.07 was an amazing high today. I mean, it just really was a great options level at the high, which we had a huge volatility skew. If you guys paid attention to that this morning, this should have been a big cue for us upon pushing above or below that. Anyways, long story short, from the 4-hour perspective, the same thing happened here again, right? When we push up like this, we are making higher highs or higher lows on every single one of these candles, essentially not giving us a leg or the ability to find support, right? In order for us to actually have support, we need to make a new low. We make a new low, we make a new high, that creates a leg, okay? So right now, we have not done that, which means my first and only level on the 4-hour time frame for support is all the way down here, 72.58. This is where I feel comfortable trading, okay? Now, it doesn't mean there isn't stuff in the middle, but when I tell you like, hey, the daily 4-hour support's a little frothy, this is why. Okay, because these are the levels that I live in. If you were in the daily How to Trade a Trade Plan webinar, you would you heard me talk about it. This is I will sit and wait for these. Now I know some of you guys are a little bit more impatient. That's not what you want to do. But again, I mean, I make really good money trading, but I'm very patient, right? And I wait for these high time frame probability setups, and I don't really diddle in the middle, right? So when I say in the middle, I used to trade 1-hour levels and lower all the time. And it just, they were just so iffy that I found that these are where it's at. So from a value perspective right now, we actually do have a big TWAP, VWAP, a weekly VWAP and monthly VWAP value creeping up here. This 73.20 area is starting to look more and more attractive. And when I go down to the 1-hour time frame, you'll see why, okay? We're going to talk about that. And I hope that this is really helping you, Z, and Kay. That you guys are in here. I don't know who else joined that's in the Discord room. Shane's in here. I can't see everybody else, but as we get into the trade plan tomorrow, this is going to make a lot of sense to you guys. Okay, this is going to kind of bring it all together for you. So in a sense, the 72.58 is really where I want to do business. And big surprise that the daily level is down here. Okay. Now the one thing about this that kind of has my antennas flared up is, guys, we have this gap in the weekly when we popped up. Right, one of the big gaps that we've been dealing with right here, right? And I say in the weekly, it's because I mark it on the weekly profile. But we have this gap up which is essentially 73.24 to 73.01. Well, it just so happens that there is some 1 hour levels of support that, I think could be kind of decent. And we actually have this VWAP levels here, which tell us that this is potentially, high time frame value area that we need to be monitoring for a reaction. So we will keep an eye on this area. But again, with this gap here, of course, you already know we're already looking to fill the gap. So it's like, do you want to buy anything in there? I don't know, right? So this makes it very difficult because we have this massive squeeze to the upside. So, for me, it's like almost easier to get short, even though that that's not the right thing to do because we're still up on all time frames. I really think you just got to be patient and wait for these lower levels. The next area that is really decent to me, and it's not my favorite, is the 72.15. 72.15 is the last line of support that has to hold in order for us to push higher. The only thing about 72.15 is, guys, is that once we're back underneath this 72.60, it has to get back over that now. Now it has another hurdle, right? So if you guys recall here, and I should have took that clip where I talked about how I literally drew this out for everybody before it happened. Price was right here like this, and I said it's going to come down here and then pop up. Let me find my pen here. Hang on. This is the way we talked about. We basically said price will come right down here. Oh fuck, my pen doesn't work again. God damn it! I need to get a new pen. This is terrible. Hang on. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm thinking here. And there's a reason I'm going into this. Okay. So check this out. All right. So this is the way that I foresaw this happening, right? Is that we were going to come down, we're going to play this, and then we were going to make new all-time highs, right? Okay. Did they do that? They absolutely did, right? They played this, they came down, they made new all-time highs. And they played this top-down structure here that was absolutely fabulous. Now we have the same situation here. If they're going to continue this upside trend, they have to come down and hold 60. Then this could pop us back and take us back up to here or even higher to, grab these all-time highs if they don't get hit by then. All right. The issue is, and this is the issue, if we move below this, we start to get sucked back into this range. And then we only have one level to pull us out of this range. And if they play this, then this becomes immediate resistance. We bump our head on this. So then they have to reclaim this in order to move higher. Just from the daily perspective, this should be very clear for you guys. Just like we talked about before, I like the 64. Okay, come down and play it. The issue is if we get below this, then what? Then we start to get back into here, and then we have to get back above it, right? So we get trapped in this area. Unfortunately, this is extremely difficult trading. I know it probably doesn't seem like it. You're like, Ryan, it's only been a week and we're pushing higher. Listen, show me something to buy. Show me something to short. We're trending up. You're really not supposed to get short. Not only that, we don't have any structure to support to short, and we really don't have anything good to buy. So this is unfortunately just a really shitty area that we're in. And, hopefully we come down and do something soon. So that is my thesis on this 72.60 area and really the last stand 72.15. And if not, this thing comes down quite a bit because I promise you, once we're below 7,200, it's not getting back above this anymore. Like we're going to have to come down lower first because this is all the support I got. And then we're just going to do one of those because we have this massive bearish imbalance to the downside yet that still needs cleaned up. But it's pretty obvious. I mean, look at this. Look, we go like this, boom, up, right? If they can come down and hold this, we go right back up. Okay. So this is the good spot anyways. And then below that, everything gets fucked. Right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 1 hour time frame so that you can see what I'm talking about. Right here. All right. So this is, let me go ahead and hide. Oh, I can't hide it. It'll disappear. All right. So guys, I don't know if you can see this, but from right here, the weekly TPO gap to right here, this is that gap I was showing you guys. That's this. Right. And that also brings this into play right here. Right. We have those two high time frame VWAP levels that I, of course, I'm going to lean on. Those are value from a weekly and a monthly standpoint, and they're running very close together. This is a big indicator for us. Now, can price go through that? Of course it can. Right. But what I wanted to show you was I have two levels to play: 73.16, 75, which is okay. Right. And I want to see this play and get back above this 23 before I get long. I'm definitely not taking it before that happens because we're all up in the gap, right? And then below this is the 09, which just so happens to run with this level, right? But it has to get back. If this plays, I got to get back above 16 before I even think about getting long and ultimately 24-ish. okay, before we do anything. Because again, we're all up in the gap, right? To technically fill the gap, we could come down here. The only nice thing about gap fills is generally half gaps play as a level. Okay, so something to keep in mind. If you don't know that, now you know. Half gaps usually get reactions. I don't know why, just is how it works. Okay, and then underneath that, we have, again, another bullshit 1 hour level down here at 87 that I just don't love. But, our trigger is 92 if that plays. And that ultimately will take us down into the 64 spot. So, again, all we have is some lower time frame support, which I just seriously dislike. It's hard for me to get all excited about this. And I know that you guys are probably reading these trade plans like, damn, is he ever going to give us a level that's actually like awesome and worth playing, that he has a lot of conviction on? Guys, that is the nature of the beast right now. I mean, I can't control what's happening. And I'm not trying to defend it at all. I just want you guys to understand exactly what we're looking at here. As we continue to move up in a very rapid fashion, support becomes very frothy. And it's hard to say short this market because we're trending up, right? And so, there's a lot of discretion that comes involved, and really, truly, the best thing that you could do is wait for price to come down to 72.60s, in my personal opinion. But obviously, people love to trade. They got prop firms to pass, et cetera, et cetera. So we continue to put out the hits every single day. We'll see exactly where we open tomorrow and see what happens with that. Guys, don't forget to sign up for that XPX brief. Also, check your spam folder for that. And if you haven't signed up for the How to Trade a Trade Plan webinar, make sure you do that as well. It's going to be great. I'm going to give away some prop firm examinations. I'm going to hand out 2 of them this time, so maybe you guys will get lucky. And every time I throw one of these, I'm just going to give them away. I've got a bunch, so I'm happy to just give them to those people in need and kind of go from there. So I appreciate you guys all joining me. Today is my Friday, so I won't be here. Today's the last day for the post-market breakdown. I will be doing Free Alpha Friday tomorrow, however, though. So please join me in the morning. I totally forgot about it. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow from about 9:15 until noon. So that's what's up. I got you, Kay. Just shoot me a DM. I got you. Until 9:15, and from 9:15 until 12:30, whatever. Stream for everybody. Please make sure you attend. It's going to be on X, YouTube, and Substack. Hopefully we get a nice little crew. We'll sit here and bullshit. Hopefully we make some money while we do it. And it'd be great if we pull back pretty decent and we can catch a nice 100-pointer. So with that being said, I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock in the morning, we will conquer the markets once again. You guys be good and talk soon. Cheers. Z, why didn't you see? Come on. I got you, babe. I got you. I'm not going to give you unlimited, but I got you. Just hit me up. You're in the room. You're part of the crew. Let me know. I got you. Cheers. See you guys.